So, when you hear the term Cloud Wars, a few huge names probably pop into your head, right? But here's the thing, the battle for the cloud in 2025 is just not being fought on the same old fronts anymore. The whole landscape is being completely transformed.
Which begs the question, who is really winning this thing? Now, if you're into the tech world, the answer probably seems pretty obvious. It almost always comes down to just one metric, market share. But as we're about to find out, that's just not the whole story anymore, not by a long shot.
All right, let's take a look. The numbers here paint a pretty familiar picture, don't they? You've got Amazon Web Services, the OG, still leading the pack with 31%. Then you have Microsoft Azure, which has seriously closed the gap, sitting at a solid 25%. And Google Cloud is holding its own at 11%. So yeah, the big three control more than 2/3 of the whole global market. Case closed, right?
Well, not so fast. Look, those numbers are absolutely important, don't get me wrong, but they've kind of become a lagging indicator. They tell you what has happened. The real fight, the one that's going to decide who wins tomorrow, is happening on a totally new set of battlegrounds. Market share tells you where we've been, not where we're going.
So, today we're going to redefine the cloud war by looking at these new fronts. We'll dive into the AI arms race, check out the massive physical infrastructure boom it's causing, look at the huge push for sustainability, and then figure out what it all means for you when you're choosing a provider. And finally, we'll take a quick peek at what's coming next.
Yeah, this is no longer a simple fight for numbers on a chart. It's way more complex now, where a win on just one of these fronts can totally reshape the entire war. And believe me, this first new battleground, it's a big one.
So, first up, the AI arms race. And you could argue this is the most important one. See, AI isn't just another service you can add on. No way. It has become the single biggest driver of cloud demand and innovation, period.
And what's really wild is what this data from IoT Analytics shows. Get this, a staggering 22%, nearly a quarter of all new cloud projects now have an AI component. This isn't some niche market anymore, it's fast becoming the main reason businesses choose their cloud provider in the first place.
So when you look at who's actually winning these new AI customers, the raw numbers seem to point to a clear leader. Between the middle of 2023 and 2024, Microsoft announced 274 new AI customer wins, putting them ahead of both AWS and Google. But, like I said, the total number of wins doesn't really tell the whole story.
And this is why. There are really two different AI races happening at the same time. You've got Microsoft, which thanks to its brilliant partnership with OpenAI, has this huge lead in the explosive new world of generative AI. That's 127 new customers right there. But AWS is absolutely not out of this fight. It's still the king of traditional AI with 176 wins, all built on its super mature and powerful SageMaker platform.
Now, all that incredible AI processing power doesn't just, exist in the ether. It has to run on actual, real-world hardware. And that demands a physical foundation on a scale we've never seen before, which brings us to our second battleground, the physical frontier. The money behind this boom is just mind-blowing. We're talking about the market for hyperscale data centers. These are the gigantic facilities that are the real engines of the cloud. It's projected to be worth over $600 billion by 2030. That's growing at an explosive rate of almost 24% every single year.
And this is why. The AI boom needs these incredibly dense GPU racks that just guzzle power. We're talking over 50 kilowatts each. That's a huge jump from traditional servers. It's forcing a total rethink of data center design, from how they get power to how they stay cool. We are literally in the middle of a global construction boom unlike anything we have ever seen.
But this crazy expansion isn't a straight line up. You've got this intense push and pull. On one side, you have AI and data sovereignty laws pushing for more and bigger data centers. But on the other, you have some serious roadblocks. Things like water restrictions, major bottlenecks in the GPU supply chain, and of course, rising carbon taxes, which is a direct hit to the bottom line. It's a real tug-of-war.
This laser focus on raw, hardcore performance has actually opened the door for a pretty smart flank attack from another player, Oracle. By using its deep expertise in high-performance networking and what's called bare metal compute, which basically gives customers raw, direct access to the server hardware, it's carved out a really powerful niche. Their OCI supercluster is built specifically for the toughest AI jobs out there. It just goes to show you don't always have to fight head-on to win. All of this power consumption, all these new buildings, it leads us right to our third battleground, the green imperative.
And this isn't just about PR anymore. With energy cost and carbon taxes on the rise, the big question is changed. It's not just how powerful can we make it, but can we make it powerful, profitable, and sustainable?
When you put the big three side by side on this, you start to see some really interesting differences. Google and Microsoft are both aiming for net zero by 2030, which is much more aggressive than Amazon's 2040 goal. And here's a big one. Both Google and Microsoft have promised to deal with all their historical carbon emissions. Amazon hasn't made that public commitment, and you can see how those different levels of ambition are reflected in the scorecard here.
What's also fascinating is that they're taking two very different strategic paths to get there. Google is chasing this incredibly ambitious 24/7 vision. They want to power everything with carbon-free energy on the local grid every single hour of every single day. Microsoft, on the other hand, wants to be carbon negative, which means they'll actually remove more carbon from the atmosphere than they emit. These are two totally different and incredibly difficult ways to solve the same massive problem.
Okay, so keeping all of these new battlegrounds in mind, the AI race, the physical build-out, and the green imperative, how does anyone actually choose their champion? The truth is, there's no longer a simple one-size-fits-all answer.
It really just comes down to who you are and what you need. If you're a startup or an AI-first company that needs to move fast, Google Cloud's cutting-edge tools and developer-friendly vibe make it a fantastic choice. If you're a big enterprise, especially one already living in the Microsoft world, Azure's seamless integration and strength and compliance are just so hard to beat. And if you're a business that needs the biggest toolbox, the most mature services, and a truly global footprint, well, AWS is still the undisputed champ of scale and reliability.
But here's the thing. This war is never truly over. Just as these new battlefronts have popped up, the next ones are already starting to take shape right over the horizon.
Justin Baitano from NVIDIA really hits the nail on the head here. AI is the transformative force, and that's going to continue to be the engine that defines the competition, pushing these providers into some really new and unexpected places. The old lines of competition are just blurring away. Now the fight is moving down the stack to designing custom chips and hardware just for AI. It's also moving up the stack to creating entire platforms for building autonomous AI agents. And at the exact same time, global politics is creating a whole new battlefield for what are called sovereign clouds, which are built to follow very specific national data laws.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The cloud has changed. It's evolved from just being rentable computer infrastructure into the actual foundation for intelligence itself. So as that shift continues, what do you think the next great battleground is going to be?